All right, good evening, everybody. I'm back with another video. This is Nicole, and I wanted to do something just quick on my mind um, about Lovecraft Country. I have watched only 4 episodes. I believe there are 6 episodes out right now. It is shown on HBO, so it does come on in the morning. Here, that's only really the time I get to watch it is in the morning. There are a few times I take that back. There are a few times I get to watch it, like replays or whatever in the evening, but I really don't watch it in the evening. I've made a point not to really do that. What's going on, D. Scott? Because I already know that it's scary. I'm not a scary person as far as a consumer of um, scary genres. Exactly. I have to see more of it. I agree, D. Scott. So I'm putting in the chat um, Dr. Tieson Johnson's review of not only Lovecraft Country, but another production called Antebellum, which I have not seen yet. And I'm glad he put those timestamps on his video so you can go straight to that video and see where he talks about antebellum and a few other things, a lot of motifs and imagery that's shown in that, as well as those themes and motifs and different types of imagery in Lovecraft Country as well. What's going on, Jay Shine? I heard you earlier on TPOT. Hey, discussions with Dina. Oh, you said you never seen it. Yeah. So we've been watching it, and if it's gonna be something scary, I want to watch it with all the lights on, the windows open, the shades open, everything. Because I'm not a scary. I'm just not a consumer of horror and scary stuff. And when I saw that it was Jordan Peele, I had a feeling it would probably be something a little scary. So that's just not for me. But first off, this will have some spoilers in it. And like I said, I don't know who has seen it or not, but I should put that in the title. But anyway, so there may be some, excuse me, some spoilers in this. If I had to rate it, like a 1 being horrible, just absolutely horrible, to 10 being absolutely awesome, I think I would rate this on the the dramatic, the acting, the imagery, I would say an 8. But on a lot of the problematic themes and different motifs that I see in that show, I would probably give it a 5 out of 10. So an 8 out of 10 for the overall production and the acting. I would give it an 8. But just on some of the negative things I see in it, the issues I see where there's a lot of feminist propaganda and there's a lot of weird stuff that I'm really not accustomed to seeing and I really don't want to see. Yeah, 5 out of 10. Um, D Scott, yeah, exactly. He said, it said lights on and birds chirping in the background. Yes, I want all the springtime, the happiness, everything. What's going on, Soup Bone? I want to people like, oh, that's not fair. You got to get in the mood to watch something scary. Yeah, I'm okay. So I wanted to just give a quick, somewhat of a review. This is just impromptu. I had been talking about it for a while, like I was going to do something, on this, and I just decided, tonight to do that. Don't forget to check out my video from earlier today where I gave a part 2 discussing COVID-19. But I also wanted to, give another side of me. I do watch, different shows and movies and whatnot. King Wage, hey, what's going on with you? King Wage in the house. Yeah, exactly. I don't mind, Dina. Hey, you know what? I'll be a scaredy cat all day. I'm the type, I'm a pillow holder, okay? We watch these scary movies. You want to watch all this horror and drama and these suspense. It start getting dark in the movie. I'm like, oh, hold up, let me get my pillow. I got my pillow right in front of my face. I don't care. I'm ready to go with the pillow. As soon as it's something scary pop on, boop, put the pillow right in front of my face. Is it over? Is it over? And you could tell when it's over because the music start getting all calm again. That's what I do. So when you go into this show, or yeah, this is a series, you go into this show, it takes you a lot of twists and turns. Now, I don't mind the twists and turns. I don't mind some of the mystery and some of the, even some of the Black history that's woven into the storylines. The issue I have is, like I said, some of the themes are problematic. So, for instance, in the beginning, the overarching theme for me that's problematic is the fact that Atticus, they call him Tick in the show. The character, I forget what his name, the actor's name is, but his character is scared. Now you called me a scaredy cat. This dude is scary for real. What's going on, Chaos? Yeah, I'm doing something just real quick. Vondi Gaming, how you doing? She laughed. She said she does it too. Get that pillow. Get that pillow ready. So the overarching thing was Atticus was so scared. He was afraid to do a lot of stuff, and it didn't make sense. It didn't match what he was supposed to represent in the first part of the first episode. You know, he's coming home from the war. This is the Korean War because it's in the 50s. And, you know, he's military man and everything. He has a lot of these weird visions and dreams and whatnot. So he's coming home, macho dude, you know, really masculine. But then when it comes down to the horror, comes down to having to save other people, he just turns into a house cat. That's the problem for me because I'm like, wait, what is all that brawn and masculinity for? You know, it's kind of put to waste. And in the meantime, you know, his Uncle George, played by Courtney B. Vance. Now I do know who that is. That's Angela Bassett's husband. You know, that's Uncle George. He's an older man. He got knee problems. He got health problems and everything. You know, he seemed to have more heart than Atticus does. You know, that was kind of, yeah, kind of weird. But then at the same time, you have the young lady, I think her name was Letitia. They call her Letty in the show. They have her like with more courage. When the monsters come, when the, you know, racist white men come and all this stuff, she got all this courage. I'm like, whoa, what's all this? So it's a switch of the symbols don't match, in my opinion. You know, you have a strong Black man who can't stand up for himself or anybody else he's with, and you have this petite, you know, feminine young lady who, you know, is not as forced into being brave and courageous, but is expected to be brave and courageous. I was like, huh? Q497, he said Lovecraft will make you start drinking. I don't know about that, but but it will make me grab that pillow. So yeah, just to hide it, it's you know, some of the stuff in here was just the imagery, now the creativity with the costumes and the you know, all of that, that was cool. But as far as uh the storylines, you know, it was just, you could tell that they were it's like almost like product placement. Like they were marketing for her to be the strong SKRONG strong Black woman in the show. And I was like, I don't see that. And if you notice, every single man that she came in contact with, she had a problem with them just about, except for Atticus. And he just happens to be the weakest man on the show. But he's supposed to be the hero. Yeah, Dina, she's the mixed girl. That's her name is Journey Smollett, Jesse Smollett's sister. What's going on, NC worker? Charles Irby, how y'all doing? Um, yeah, it starts off good and turns into I wrote exactly D Scott. It does at some point. Like when they start to get to danger, it's like she's supposed to be automatically expected to like save them. And, they go into this diner and because okay, so the Uncle George, he's basically doing like a green book, which was historically a real thing that helped a book that African Americans had, Black people had in this country to help them navigate around the United States so they would not go to places that were strong, Jim Crow laws and stuff like that. So they wouldn't get physically harmed and potentially lynched, and killed in these places, especially in the South. So this is what Uncle George is doing. He is going around and he's collecting information from these businesses and basically writing reviews from what I can understand. He's writing reviews, he's trying to make it easier for people to navigate. So that's a very honorable position to have. His daughter, which I think in the book was actually a boy, Uncle George's daughter, she is, I think she has a male masculine name. I forget her name in the show, but the little girl has a love for reading, a love for books, and also a love for science fiction. That is very, very important to note. So they're going around, and the diner they go to is a segregated diner because when they sit down in there, she pretty much, Letty or Letitia, whatever, she pretty much just takes the lead and is like, okay, let's sit down here. They get in there, and she, they're just like, okay, we're gonna order XYZ, we're gonna order some lunch or whatever. The white dude at the counter is like, what y'all Negroes doing here? He looking like, where you at? That type of thing. And they just like, yeah, we're gonna order something. What's going on, Adam? And they're like, no, not y'all. This ain't for you. Basically, that's the look. And she walks off. She's like, okay, I need to go to the bathroom, whatever. So she go into the bathroom. She overhears the dude that's working there because he walked off first. And he goes in the back. He's calling. He's like, I guess talking to the manager, the owner of the diner. Like, yeah, I told him I wasn't gonna serve them. Blah blah blah. And she overhears that. And she's like, oh shoot, he about to call somebody on us. And it was a sundown town, exactly Q497. It was a sundown town. And my thing is, you just realized it at that time. You couldn't tell when they first rode in the town. You saw the dudes at the firehouse looking at you crazy. You don't see any Black people in the town, So just the error in judgment. There was a huge error in judgment there. But then she come run out the bathroom. We need to get the fuck out of here. She running out, like just, I understand, you're afraid and everything, but they have her yelling. Not only does she do that and get them to get up and run out the diner with her, she runs out as the leader. She gets in the car and drives off. She driving the men around, and these white dudes chasing them, shooting at them in the truck. And she the hero at that time. In my mind, that's what the hero's supposed to do. The hero's supposed to drive off, get you to safety, and everything, and save the day, right? She driving off in the car, flying down the road, and it's like, really? Okay, underwhelming at best. Complete switch of the roles at worst. Like that, it really that threw me off. Then you had the white lady that saved them. So you have two women that's saving the day. I was like, whoa, what's going on here? That's one issue I had. So I'm gonna read what Adam just said. He said, they do this so women watch it. It's all they don't give a damn about the collateral damage on TV. In order to make women look confident, you have to yeah, that's what I see. And it doesn't make a lot of sense either because she has a lot of issues. She has a lot of personal issues, a lot of personal baggage from her mother dying. She didn't show up to her mom's funeral. She got bad blood between her sister, and her brother. Her Letty apparently has a different father than her brother and sister. They're both mad at her because she didn't come to the mom's funeral. So her mother just recently passed before they opened this part of the series, this first episode. And that's what I'm saying, D Scott. It's like insert female protagonist. I don't have a problem with female protagonists, so to speak, but it's the way that she is expected to do what she's doing. Like the men are not, um, it's like they're not even there in a way. So if because if you imagine a scene of her getting in the car, well, running to the car, getting in it, and the car, they nicknamed the car Woody. She getting in Woody and driving off. If she was by herself, like you could almost imagine that scene with her driving off by herself, just about because besides Atticus like shooting, I think he shot back at the dudes with the gun. Besides that part of the scene, you could have put the gun from his hand into her hand, and she could have been shooting out the back. So it was almost as if they didn't even have to be in that scene at all. Like she could have just been there in the car by herself. That's kind of, okay. Then you get to another part where the monsters, they're in the cabin in the woods, monsters chasing them, whatever. The monster done killed a couple of racist cops, and they're in this cabin. One of the cops is, he's infected with whatever these monsters have. He starts turning, and Uncle George, instead of like looking for weapons or whatever, only thing he can do is start quoting, the book Dracula. He's like, "What happens when you get bit by a vampire? Fool! If you don't get a weapon, get your ass over there and get a stick or something. Like, get something. Like, get a plank of wood, get a 2x4, something. You over here talking about what happens when you get bit by a vampire? Yeah, we need to know what's going on with vampires right now. We need to. What you gonna do? Throw a book at them? Like that's what I was like. What are you doing? And we sit here watching this, and we looking at each other like, the hell? He talking about a book at the time like this? It's like it's like those movies where they have like a little fat kid, and I ain't got nothing against fat kids, but I just think this is funny. Whenever they have they had a fat kid in the group, and like the Sandlot or whatever, and they in trouble or something happening, and little fat kid talking about, man, I wish I had some M&Ms right now. We in trouble. You thinking about food at a time like this? That type of thing. So that's how it was to be. Uncle George was like the little fat kid in the movie who talk about his books. And I was like, I understand that's the theme, but can't you say that for later when we driving home safely and everything? But besides that, because that threw me off. Besides that, the sheriffs, they got guns to them, and they're like, "No, y'all not going to get the car and get us to safety. She gonna go do it." I was like, "What?" You know, like what do you think that the sheriffs was gonna do if you just ran out the door with her? You think they're gonna run out the into the dark, into the woods with monsters all around? Like, what do you think they're gonna do? Like, they think they're gonna run after you with a gun shooting at you? Yeah, they might, but how far you think they're gonna get? So she ran to the car, and apparently these monsters are they are like vampires in a way where they cannot stand light. They really have an aversion to light. And so if you had a flashlight and shine it in their face or in a direction, they run away or they cower away. So how she get from the car or from the cabin to the car with no flashlight? Like it was just like everything was just set up for her, you know, by divine purpose for her to make it to the car. And she wasn't running that fast. I'm sorry, talking about something. I'm on a track team. I was on a track team in high school. What you being okay, little fat kid? What you being on the track team got to do with you running to the car? I know you run fast, but that was a high school. You ain't in high school no more. And they were like, yeah, yeah, she should go to the car. Everybody like, okay, yeah, she go to the car. She get there, she almost get eaten, whatever. She saves the day again. I was like, okay. Then they come to another point. It's a lot of points in the show where, women are saving the day and the dudes is like, you know, I don't know. What do we do? I'm too scared. Then we find out there's like this magical home or magical, mystical, wonderful world way out in Massachusetts somewhere. Um, in this for the show, where they just have like all this stuff, and they have everything that they've, ever wanted and everything. I'm trying to go down to where it is. I think this is season 1. Okay, so this is the day after, the next day after they are like dealing with the monsters and all that stuff. And this is some of the monsters that are there that night when they're like fighting them and all this stuff. And this is that next morning when they show up at this house, and this guy is like, "Oh, welcome home, Atticus. Glad you could come," and all this other stuff. I'm like, who the hell is this dude? He already know your name right there at this time in the history. In history, this is like in the mid 50s, right? You show up to this man house and he talking about some welcome home. That's your time to turn around and walk the hell on off. That's your time to turn around and go home or try to get your way to the somewhere. You ain't got to go home, but you need to get the hell out of here. That's what that means right there. But y'all walked in anyway. hmm So that's the end of that episode, and then they come into um this house, and it's like everything they've ever wanted. Like, Letty all excited because she get to take a bath and she got these new clothes, and Uncle George had all his books, all kinds of things in his room that he can read. He loves books. Everything they've ever wanted is in this house, right? And Atticus is the only one with reason. At that time, I was like, okay, I see some hero potential in him, because he was like, how you go in this strange house and you got clothes that fit you? Like, they don't even know you. How you got clothes that fit you? Then Uncle George, they got all your favorite books. Let me guess, in your room is all your favorite books. Don't you think that's kind of weird? And they just like, well, in my mind, I was thinking they were, they had that coon sound like, well, Master did good things for me. Master saved me from the monsters, and I'm here, and that's how I seen. Like, they was doing little sidestepping, little butter biscuit cooning a little bit, just a little, not too much, just a little smidge of cooning, in my opinion. I ain't like that. I was like, oh dang, come on, man. So then they at breakfast, and the white dude, whatever, he's like, yo, y'all come down here and everything's set up for you. Y'all can have breakfast and everything. Y'all can chill. That's weird. It ain't no hotel. So what y'all doing? Then he's telling them about all this magical, mystical, world of what these people do, somewhat a little. Like, oh, this is magical, mystical stuff, and we're special, and this guy is special, and all this. Okay, fine. They eating breakfast, but nobody there except Atticus, Uncle George and Letty. They wipe their memory somehow. I'm like, oh, here come the BS. Here it come. Here come the foolishness. So then Atticus is like, how y'all don't remember what happened last night? We were fighting monsters. They like, what monsters? What are you talking about? He was like, oh my God. So he the only one that's having some reason right now. But I'm thinking it's too late for you to have some reason. You should have had some reason the 2 times the lady that saved you and Uncle George. And now you want to have some reason? Okay. Whatever. Lion's Time says sounds like Hansel. Oh, you talking about Hansel and Gretel? Yes. He said slight stepping. It was a little bit like, Master done did good things for me. I got good clothes. I got eats. I got eats and water. Like, sit your ass now. But anyway, moving on. What they really need Atticus for is to help them reach over into another realm, into the spirit realm. And they know that he possesses a lot of power through his bloodline. And so that's why, they really need him, whatever. From my opinion, I can kind of tell that he's the center of the storyline that's going on. But, which kind of, if you don't really understand how these types of shows work, it's kind of like, oh, wow, like he was the underdog and now he's just an awesome hero. Pump your brakes. I don't think that's the case. I think that there's a lot of confusion with the way they have set up his character because he's extreme on all sides. He's extremely weak over here. He's extremely strong in another instance. He's weak in front of women, but then he's strong in front of these dudes. Like for instance, here when they were doing this particular type of ritual to regain power or to see the spirit realm and all that kind of stuff. And so he was so-called powerful then, but then weak in other places. It's a flip-flopping type of thing that I don't really like. Um, like for instance, I think this is somebody else's review, but here is where like a lot of power is harnessed, in his chest. They put a ring on his finger and power is harnessed there, and the power is so great that it's able to bring back one of the family's ancestors. I think it's up here. Yes. So they bring back an ancestor, apparently, a pregnant woman who I think is a slave woman, or she might be a free black woman, but they bring her back. But it destroys this home. And this is the second time, this is a replica of the original home that was apparently burned down years ago. So her name, they say, is Hannah, whatnot. And so they bringing her back with this ritual. She's a spirit, and I guess due to bringing her back, the house collapses, sets on fire, and collapses. um Now I've skipped a lot of stuff for a reason, and y'all have to, if you haven't watched already, you have to go back and watch. But let's see, Double C, what's going on, Double C? D Scott said it's like they took one character and split him into two. Exactly. Tick and let exact. Oh my gosh, that's exactly what I was thinking too. It's like they have, it's like a hermaphrodite, almost like a male female type of person, and with male and female components there, and those two components, male and female, are opposing each other, and they've just torn them apart. And you have Letty and you have Tick, and Tick has some, I wouldn't say he has some feminine side to him, but as far as being like more passive, he does have that. And Letty has more aggressiveness, especially going on to other episodes. So I won't say what happened at the end of this episode. I'm just gonna keep it moving. So then we get to uh episode 3, which is very weird, but because I'm from episode 1 to episode 2, I'm like, okay, this is a good storyline. Things are moving along, things are happening. And then it just all of a sudden decide to switch things up. And Letty she takes her sister, I forget her sister's name, but she takes her sister to this home. She buys this new home, and the house is like, girl, you could have done better than that. It just looked like, okay, I'm trying to find a picture. Here it is. The picture of House on Haunted Hill. Like, I swear that's like the same house. Of course it's gonna be sold. This house is like, this is trash. Okay. Not to I mean, it could be fixed up. It's a fixer up. I'll say that. It's a fixer upper. I'll be watching my HD TV. But just at first glance, you can see this is like a ghost house. This is the house at the end of the street and nobody wants to go in. But she does her best to, see the good in things. And I think it's because she's been through so much with what happened when they were at the other house and all the magic and craziness. So she just wants something, I guess, to call her own. She wants to have something peaceful and, something that's close to normal as she can get it. And she's desperate for that. And she's really seems to be very desperate to have people help her renovate. She needs them to help her renovate this home, and she needs people living there. And so she has boarders. She's like, I'm gonna turn this into a boarding house. And she talking to her sister. Her sister's like, girl, she looking like, this is not the business. This ain't it. This ain't it. But she supports her sister, and they going ahead and they moving in and stuff. But yeah, it was a foreclosure special. You stupid. Right. Dina, she said that part where they party and there was on the TV preview. Hold on. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Okay. But yeah, so they have this house. They have the the racist white dudes show up. They playing they had like the what is it? They didn't play music, but they had music going on in the house and they, fixing up, cleaning up and everything. And you had these dudes outside. They took some twine or rope or whatever and tied it around the horns on their car. And so the horn is constantly blaring. And they came out and everybody coming out on the porch to see them just being palm colored at that time, right? And so she hears that and she's just like, oh, this is crazy. The next morning she gets up, they still have the sound, it's still going on outside. They had their windows closed. So she goes downstairs, and this is when it starts to get really weird. And I was just like, this is crazy. This is when I grabbed my pillow too. Well, the second time. The first time was with the monsters in the woods. The second time was right here because she went downstairs in the basement to try to fix the air, the AC and stuff. And she was like, oh, maybe these crazy racist dudes outside, maybe they're out there messing with our boiler or something like that. And there's something weird in the basement. The room, she realized there's a room or something under the basement. And I was like, oh shoot. Okay. So then I had to get my libations, get myself together. And apparently there is a room underneath uh underneath the basement because there was a palm colored racist doctor that was doing all kinds of J. Marion Sims, medical apartheid type experiments on Black people back in the day in that house. And you have to remember, Letty's moving into this house during a time where they called it pioneering, when Black people would move into white, segregated neighborhoods. And so there's a lot going on, and you can see that things really have not changed as much since the people were killed in this home up to the point where they're moving into this house, living there now. And so she is going crazy trying to figure out, what is going on. She finds out that all of these people have been killed for his crazy experiments that he was doing on them. All kinds of just nasty, horrific experiments that he was doing, and that the police were in on it too. And so she has a woman, I think she's practicing voodoo or some type of a spirituality system, and she comes and she tries to cleanse the house. She gets possessed by the ghost. I call it the devil. She gets possessed by this demon man, and they have to now cleanse the house. And she's calling on the names. Letty's calling on the names of all these spirits, and they come together to try to get this man out. And he actually takes possession of the lady that came to do the cleansing of the home, and he takes possession of Tick as well. And when he takes possession of Tick, Tick is like having these convulsions and stuff, and he's shapeshifting into this man which is the spirit of the doctor that was doing these experiments on these Black people, like children, pregnant women. It was just, it was so hard to watch. And they clear his spirit out, they destroy him, they get him out of there. Letty's like, this is my house, and she gets him out. But at the same time, even in that episode, Tick is in I wouldn't say victimhood mode, but he is a victim of that demon possession. But in the beginning, even before that, he is like at the mercy of Letty. At the beginning, before this even happens, before this demon possession happens, he's at the mercy of her, because he's like, well, I don't have anywhere to go, and so he got to live there. And then during this time, he's possessed by a demon, so he has no control over his body. And because of her quote unquote powers, which he's supposed to have powers as far as I understand, but it's from her quote unquote power, he's released from this demon, or they release the demon away from him or whatnot. It does, Lou. It's like, ugh, all over the place. This episode right here was a turning point for me when I was like, Imma watch something else. Like, I was like, "You know what? Imma try watching," 'cause I right when I saw this episode, like, a day later, I heard of the series called, Raised by Wolves, so I started watching that. That's real interesting. I might do a, review or something on that. But, um, Dina said, "Oh, okay, my daughter told me about that part. Wacko palm people experimented on Black." Yes, that's what this episode was about. There were other themes and imagery in this episode because this house was haunted by all the Black people's spirits that are here. Is this the white crazy palm colored man in the middle? Ugh, yuck. And you got that was a demon right there. But you got all these Black people's spirits that are in, physical form, and Letty can see them. Why she can see them and Tick can't see them, he's possessed at the time, but even before he couldn't see anything and she could, that's still a question for me. But yeah, this house is haunted, and the police officer, at some point before this scene tells her like, yeah, eight Negroes killed and all this kind of, or nine or something like that were killed in that house, and all this. And I was like, okay, like it's all over the place. Oh. And so, hold on. Yeah, so I just started watching Raised by Wolves, but we have what is this? So I think this is the last episode. Yeah, we saw episode 4 and that was it. So this one was like, oh my God, even worse. And just to skip through a lot of the mess in the beginning, because this one, for some reason, I don't know, but if y'all watched episode 4, let me know in the chat. Yes, Dita, that's what I saw. It was the ancestors that were coming back. That's what I saw. But the thing was, the way things were happening, it was like they were trying to mix horror with suspense, and that just kind of fell flat for me. That episode 3 with the ghost in the house, the Expanse. I heard of the Expanse. I just haven't seen that. Oh, what the one with the house with the ghost? That was episode 3, and episode 4 was in there when they go to this museum. They take this annoying dude with them. I don't even know what his deal is, but they take this guy with them. I wouldn't have taken him nowhere. But they take him with them because you remember, as I said earlier, Uncle George, he was going on this thing. He's gone now. I won't say why, but y'all can figure that out and watch the show if you wish to. But this is Tick's dad right here. I call him Omar, but because from The Wire, but I forget his name on here. But this is Tick's dad and Letty, and then Tick. But they go to this museum to try to find answers for this group because they want to figure out what happened at that house. The house that burned down and everything and blew up. What happened? What's the history behind that? What's my bloodline? Who am I? He still has all these questions. I guess they, solve the issue of what's going on at the house that Letty has with the Borders, the demon guy, he's gone into, ether. He's gone now. So now they're moving on to figuring out all these questions that Tick has about his identity and, his family and history and all that. So they go to the most obvious place, which is a museum. How they get there is a long story. But anyway, they get to this museum and they're trying to figure out what's going on as far as like symbology, and there's certain artifacts that they need to look for. And so for me, it turned into like, what's that movie they had with what was the guy's name? Um, when they were going around looking for artifacts pertaining to the American Revolution and all that stuff. I think it was Nicolas Cage, and they were going around looking, looking for all these things. It kind of felt like that a little bit. Then it turned into like, what's the other dude name that was doing all the doing all the trekking around the world with the hat on and the whip. I don't forgot his name, but it turned into that type of thing. Like they in the water, they running, they getting all sweaty, they coming down ropes and doing all this acrobatic stuff. I'm like, okay, so it's adventure. We just came from horror and suspense. Now we're going to an adventure stuff. Okay, fine. That's what y'all want to do. Do it. So they get down to the adventure. Then they go and they seeing like spirits from way back in the day. I can't find the scene of it. But they're seeing a lot of like right here, like okay, they're in the water and they're trying to get some kind of code. They need blood in order to open this gate right here. And so that's this part. And they're doing that. And they get everything they need. Then they find this woman that's I guess a spirit from way back in the day. Talking to her. She starts off as like as bones, and then she somehow is reanimated and they're talking to her. And this woman here, she starts off like this, holding on to the scroll, which they feel they need. They're in a deep part of the museum, like way under the water, under the ground, all that kind of stuff. And this woman is bones, and when she reanimates, she looks like this. I mean, she's literally like butt naked. She's hermaphrodite, so she has both sex organs. Oh, thank you, Micah, the comedian. Oh, okay, he said, thank you for the super chat. He said, I wish I could talk to you about this. The book is nothing like the show. I know people will say it never is, but no, it's some BS for real. And I heard that. National Treasure. Thank you, National Treasure. Y'all. Yes, Indiana Jones. I said the man with the whip. Yes, Harrison Ford. Yes, he was in that. He was Indiana Jones. Y'all, I'm done. The man with the whip and the hat. He was running. The ball was running after him. Temple of Doom, right? Yes, so that's what I felt like. It was like some Indiana Jones, Crypt Keeper, Tales from the Crypt. I mean, I don't know, like just too much going on for me. And I guess it's okay because, it's unexpected for me to see Black people doing this type of thing, but I guess that's all right. But the problem was that, once again, Tick was not really, they're supposed to be looking for something. They're supposed to be finding the answers to whatever. And he's having arguments with his dad. Y'all chest high in some water, dirty water, old, dirty, ancient water that's got all kinds of, who knows, probably got anything in there. And you arguing and get to the solution of what's going on, man. Like, what you doing? That just, I didn't like that. And once again, Letty is at the beginning. She's at the leadership helm. Like, I'm gonna keep walking. I don't care what y'all doing. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. She's still walking. She saves the day again when they get this lady, and they're taking her back. They're gonna take her back to the house, get some answers out of her, and ask her questions and whatnot. They're in the elevator. They're back to her house. The route from the museum, because they're in Chicago, I believe, that from that museum in Chicago, it leads back to her haunted house, back to the basement, underground, back to the elevator, because the home has an elevator. And they get on the elevator, but she drops the scroll or something that they got. And she's like, oh my God, I gotta go back and get it. So she goes back swimming in the water, being a hero, which is fine. But I'm just saying, Tick, you could have kind of did that. Weren't you in the military? So anyway, he could have did that, but he didn't. And Letty comes back and she's 100 pounds soaking wet, swimming, grabbing stuff, doing whatever. She saves the day, get her in the elevator, and it's just like, it's crazy. Like all that to get this little scroll. And I know they're searching for answers, but they went through a lot. I was like, y'all really doing a lot here. Then they come and the dad, he ends up killing this lady. Like at the end, it was like, what? So they got the lady. That's where I is. So anybody else who's read past that, oh, here's another image of when they're under the museum and stuff, trying to figure out what's going on. But at the end of it, the dad, Michael K. Williams character, he kills the lady. Like he slits her throat. I was like, what? Right here. I was like, okay. They got her in a nice dress. I guess they gave her a bath or whatever. And he's like, um, I'm sorry. And then just slit her throat. I'm like, what? What is going on here? It's just a mess. Whoever wrote this, I need you to do what you gotta do. Omega Dread said, great show. Though, and I like, he said, May He Rise. It's a great show, though, and I like the Lovecraft books. I started watching due to sodomy by a shoe. What? Exactly, Lou. I mean, I'm saying it's ancient waters, got all kinds of, ancient diseases, and you don't know what kind of germs is in there, ancient bacteria and stuff. Man, yeah, it was an underground tunnel, Dina, and it was just the fact that now I didn't mind them getting to the business and doing what they had to do, but they were arguing and just like, why y'all doing this? Like, why we gotta be black folks? Even in the midst of danger, we sit here arguing. Well, you didn't do this, back and forth. Get your ass over there and find what we gotta find. And that's and it just showed like there's a disconnect between Tick, his dad, and Letty. Like Letty she seemed more determined to get things done than Tick. And I'm like, Tick, this is about your life. You're the center of the story. You should be the main character. You should be the protagonist. You should be the hero. We're doing this for you. Because in my opinion, just me personally, Nicole, this is like he's the story. But they making her the hero is just a mess. It says always 100-pound lady muscles through everything. Dina said, what the hell? He couldn't control himself. It was a woman. I don't know. It this right here. Oh, yeah, you talking about because he Omar. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But I have not seen going further. If I go further into episode 5, I don't know what this woman is doing here, but I hadn't seen her character. I don't like her face. But anyway, her face is kind of mommy dearest look to it. I don't really like that. Anyways, I'll move down. I don't like her face. But I did see like a clip of Letty's sister. I have to get her name on here. Let me try to find the IMDb. Here we go. Let me find the cast. Ruby. Okay, her name in the show is Ruby. Wunmi Masaku. So Ruby. So when I did see part of it when Ruby was meeting this guy, this white guy at this bar, I saw that and I was like, okay, whatever. I don't know what's gonna go on with that, but that's all I saw. And so a lot of people, and even in some parts of Dr. T.S.R. Johnson's review of this show, I think he mentioned it or people mentioned it in the chat, and I kind of fast forwarded, different parts because I want to see what's going to happen in episode 5. But in general, like I said, when it comes to a lot of the problematic themes and a lot of the feminism that I see just rolling through, like it's not even subtle through this show. It's very obvious and in your face. That's why I'll give this a 5. And if based on the production value, acting, the cinematography is really good. Even the costumes and stuff matching to the time frame and that point in history. That's why I said I give it an 8 out of 10 for that. Just for acting and some of the writing is good as well. So I will say that the pacing, I got a problem with the pacing, and I have an issue with the character misplacement. When they position certain characters, they just, I know it's like some of the female characters, they just take over. Like I didn't talk about the other lady. What's the lady's name? The palm colored lady here. Let me go back here. But she's apparently one of these magical people. Yeah, I didn't talk about her. I mean, I really didn't have much to say to her. Her character is kind of like underwhelming to me. It's like, okay, whatever. She don't seem to have much power, and that's like, okay. At some point, maybe she does have power. I don't know. I just didn't recognize that when I was watching it, and it seemed like her dad was, more powerful. But now he's gone. He's dead after the house caught on fire and blew up and everything. So she's taking on her dad, and she's like a witch, or I guess it would be a witch because her dad must have been like a wizard or something. That's just weird to me. Like people are putting her like she's potentially a hero, and I'm like, I don't see it. Tick, and we don't know why. Yes, that's what I'm saying, Micah. Like it seems like the dad is if you're saying the dad, yeah, it seems like the dad is sabotaging Tick and we don't know why. That's like I don't get that. Wait until I see episode 5. Okay, Kenya, I'm gonna have to check out episode 5 then because I've been hearing people talk about it and it's like, man, um Dina says speaks to the writers mentally sending a mental message. Yeah, sending a mental message like y'all need to stop putting some of these themes in here. Um yes, that's what I think, Shonda. Of course, yeah. Because oh yeah, that's one part I missed. Like the dad was like, okay, he had got shot and everything. He's in the bed, and the guy that Atticus thinks is his dad, Omar from The Wire, he's saying, he might not be your son. Tick might not be your son. He think he on his deathbed. He been shot in the gut and everything by the wizard. This white lady's dad. And he's like, he might not be your son. I'm like, oh, he ain't your son. Because he's not. Like, if he gonna say something like that, he's not, And there's a lot of stuff I skipped. So y'all have to go back and watch because I just didn't think it was as pertinent to the story. Maybe it is. And another thing I would say is people have said, I've heard this over and over, like Micah said earlier in the super chat, like, the show is nothing like the book. And I think that will lead me to want to read this because I just saw it and I was like, let me see what's going on with this show. But knowing that, I know that H.P. Lovecraft had his stories and everything. Of course, we know extremely racist man at the time when he was writing his books and writing different essays or whatnot. They even put some of his information and work, into the script of this show, which I thought was interesting that they do that. So the dad's likely his uncle. Yeah, I agree. What she was saying too, Micah. Lions, what you said, Lionstown, which one of them read palms? I don't I don't remember that. Yeah, we can. None have showed that ability yet. Yeah, I don't know anybody that was reading palms. I don't know that, but I was trying to just put this as a quick little, quick hit. Like this is my thoughts on it. I have a lot of issues with like I said, themes and imagery that's going on. The females seem to be stronger than the males. Even though the white lady, in my opinion, doesn't have a lot of power in general, she does have more power than Tick in one of the main episodes. I think it was the end of episode 3. Perhaps it seemed like she did have power over him due to a spell, and she even said something in the episode, I believe it was episode 3. She was like, you just can't go around killing white women. I was like, wow, lady, you bold, you right, but you bold, Yeah, he was extremely racist, Dina. Yeah, H.P. Lovecraft. He was just, I think he had a poem or something that was entitled The Making of Niggers or something like that. And I was like, wow, this dude is to read it. And then the character Atticus, his dad made him, or the man he thinks is his dad, he said he made him memorize that. So who's the best spellcaster? I don't know. I mean, I don't know about that, Michael. If that comes up in episode, um, if that comes up in episode 5, or if it's not in the book, then I can only go off of what I'm seeing what I'm seeing here on screen. But oops, let me stop sharing it. I'm gonna go back to my little screen here. I don't know if she doesn't really, I mean, if you're saying she doesn't really exist, like in the book, she doesn't really exist, or you're saying that on the show, she doesn't really exist because, from what I see, like she does what she does. I mean, that's all I can say about her. I don't really like her attitude. She has a lot of issues going on with herself. You can kind of tell that. So it's Lovecraft's house. I might have to check it out. Um, I don't know about that. Yeah, I put the link earlier. Let me put it again. Oops. I can stay on here another 20 minutes. I'll put the link in the chat. But I don't know. This show is, it's all over the place. It really seemed like, and I had a little bit of respect, I guess, after episode 2, because I said, well, it's Jordan Peele. A lot of stuff he does is like Get Out. It's a windy road. Things are going all around, and it might be, maybe there's a surprise at the end of the hallway. Maybe there's something over here to the left, something to the right. Oh, something in the closet. I don't know. But when I wasn't seeing that, I said, okay, y'all about to disappoint the hell out of me, and I'm about to turn this off. So I just, but we were like, you know what? These episodes were old at the time. I said, let's just try to get through episode 3. We got through episode 3. We're looking at each other like, mm-mm, you know, this ain't the business. Like the whole time we just going through, and we just kept looking like this in the chat. Like that was a look we kept giving each other like, okay, I'm done. You done? I'm done. I'm going to bed. Me too. Like like some of the scenes, it was like, the hell was that? I don't know. I don't even know. And then we just kept watching it. I think I kept watching it because I was like, well, maybe it'll get better. It'll get better. Yeah, it'll get better. All right. And it didn't get better. And he mad at me right now. He's talking about, why you made me watch that bullshit? I ain't want to watch that shit no way. I ain't want to watch it. Like, man, I'm gonna play my NBA. I'm like, okay, fine. Do your PlayStation. They have to appeal to the feminist female. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, now I go into watching these things with high hopes and optimism, but then sometimes it's like, um, I would say after about the first 1.5 episodes, it started to twist. I was like, oh, okay, you know. And I can do another version of this, like Lovecraft Country, open chat again, like part 2 tomorrow evening. I could definitely do it. Saturday I could do that. That's fine, like Saturday evening. Yeah, it was like, you made me watch this. Oh, I was like, I didn't make you watch nothing. You made me watch this. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I can tell when something is getting on his nerves, because he just like looking around like, oh yeah. And then he started just getting up. I'm like, why you getting up? It's still playing. I don't want to see that bullshit. I don't want to see this. Like, ladies in the chat, you already know when there's something that your man might not like, when he tell you, when you ask him, you want me to pause it for you? Like, nah, just let it play. That's when you know he don't really care. He don't care. Y'all already know when the dude when he don't tell you pause it right there. When he say pause it, I told you to pause it. That means he likes it. When he be like, you be like, want me to pause it right here? Nah, man, go ahead and let it play. Go ahead and let it play, man. Yeah, just go ahead. All right, I'll let it play then. You gonna miss a scene? That's when you know it's some bullshit. That's the litmus test right there. That's when you know. Now, when it was that other movie, I think it was Equalizer or something. It was like, man, don't pause it, don't pause it. I'm like, okay, damn, okay. But this was totally different. I'm gonna let you in, Mike. I see you might have a little issues with your signal, but I'm gonna let you in real quick. What's going on?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you? You gotta mute your background though.
Oh, snap.
YouTube.
Hold on, go ahead and do that real quick.
Mhm.
Is that better?
I can still hear the background.
How about now?
Yeah, it's gone now. He
Okay.
wasn't feeling it, Dina. He wasn't feeling it. He wasn't ready. No, he was not feeling it at all. I was just joking. I was clowning around. I was saying like, when a dude, when a female, when we're watching movies or shows with our dude, with our guy, and then he get up like to get a beer, get some chips or whatever. And you're like, oh, you want me to pause it? And you're like, nah, just let it play. What that mean?
He's not really interested.
Right. Like he don't care. Like, man, he just look be like, he don't even look that fast, like take that long. He just look, man, just let it play. Shake his head and walk off. I mean, he don't care.
I'd
And
have to
what were your thoughts on it?
I'd have to agree with what Dr. T.S. Johnson said.
Mhm.
I'm gonna try my hardest not to give any spoilers, but there is some books that they make into shows where it's similar, but it's not so different. Like we know that the
Mhm.
uncle and he married Hippolyta. And in the show, him and Hippolyta have a girl. But in the book, him and
Yeah.
Hippolyta have a son named Horace.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know if you saw the last episode, but that right there, they really like amped it up with like the feminist stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because in the book, it was totally, totally different. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And um, how Letty is in the show, she's not like that in the book.
Mhm.
Now, the white woman you were talking about, I could tell you about her, but at the same time, I really don't want to like spoil it. But
Mhm.
even Montrose, Tick's father, he wasn't a belligerent, and I'm not going to spoil it with him. He's not like how he is in the show. The way that he was is the equivalent of, let me say, Angry Man. You know what I'm saying? If Angry Man's son was reading, which Angry Man wouldn't have a problem, and Montrose didn't have a problem with Tig reading. But when he was reading about like some people that, were against them. And
Mhm.
all his dad was like was, hey, that dude was so and so, right? And
Mhm.
then Tickwood, he explained it the way he did in the first episode. Or with H.P. Lovecraft, he didn't quite know. So his father went to the library. Now, this ain't a spoiler because this is in the book. His father went to the library and he checked into H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah.
And the poem you was talking about, he presented it to him in the book and he said, turn to this page and tell me what you read. And
Mhm.
he educates, you know what I'm saying? He educates and but he yet challenges Tick. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
In the show, that's not expressed. In the show, it's expressed that his dad, Montrose, is crazy, that he has some kind of issues, that he has a drinking problem, that he can't communicate with his son,
And he's a
that
free throw shooter.
he's a free throw shooter. What does that mean?
If you do the arm gesture like you're shooting a free throw and
Oh,
you
you talking
bring
about
your arm down, yeah, yeah. I was trying to
like
say it
Omar?
without
Why
spoiling it,
you just say he like Omar and Wire? I would never. But
but yeah.
I haven't seen episode 5, so I can't really comment.
Oh,
But
this before episode 5.
I didn't see that. But I must have missed that somehow. But I think they may have mentioned it. Oh, okay, I know you're talking about it. I think they mentioned it, and I was like, I just kind of ignored it and kept it moving. But yeah, I have to go back and watch it again because the dude at the club or the bar or something said something, and yeah, I think that's probably what you're mentioning because I didn't see anything with his dad, like where he's doing that type of broke wrist, stuff.
Oh,
I didn't
okay,
see that.
keep watching.
Yeah,
Keep
everybody keep telling
watching.
me watching. I'm gonna keep watching it. I have to come back and be like, oh dang. But that's that's really crazy how they portray him that way in the show. But on the once again on the show, but on in the book, he's not like that. I
No.
wow. Because even the reading part, like Tick he misreads the city Arkham as Arkham because of the way the dad writes. He was like, for a man that talks about all this reading, you think you know how to write. And I was like, wow. And then when it comes to like just understanding who they are, it seems like he wants to hide that from Tick in a way. And I was like, why is he doing that? So yeah, I might have to just after watching this, I might have to just read the book because this is crazy.
Another thing is that girl you talking about, like the guy's daughter, like she's not even in the book. That man has a son. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you look at and I tried to listen to like the podcast after the show, I couldn't do it. But if you watch the show, right, and you remember the one where they were underwater and all that water you was talking about, it's funny
Mhm.
because you cannot detach from being the scientist that you are. But when they were at that door, remember they had to put the code in,
Yeah.
and when his father read the book, he said Adam something, Eve something, and what they said about Eve is Eve disrupted everything. So
Mhm.
that's why, you know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
they don't want to do it, but the daughter, she's being influential to she's being influential to Ruby to make it seem like, okay, I want I don't think that what the men are the barrier that men set up for me, I feel like I should be able to do it. But then you want to be a white woman or have the power of a white woman. So that's kind of like what she does. That's as much as a spoiler kind of like thing that I'm gonna say because that guy, the white haired guy, he could actually have played that part as the son, but for some strange reason, they gave it to the girl, and the son was like a futurist, but he was powerful too. Probably not on the level of his father. I think well, but he dude was dude was he was a problem. But it's just seeing where they taking it, man. It's like it's sickening, like and plus the
Yeah,
gay stuff too.
I don't understand. Like, okay, I'm gonna have to watch by myself because he ain't watching stuff. He already gave up. Jason done gave up. He's like, look, forget all that. So, like I said earlier, I moved on to Raised by Wolves, and I'm like episode 6. I'm like, wow, I'm into that, and it's getting kind of weird. But I'm like, man, it got weird. It's getting weird around episode 5, but this got weird at the end of episode 2. I was like, okay, you know. So I'm twice as far in with this show Raised by Wolves than this show you talking about. And it seems like from a lot of people, the themes and stuff that people are talking about, a lot of the symbolism, it seems like you have to read this book. But I think people should have read the book before they watch the show and or just stuck to the book. Like what's going on, AB Media? Like sticking to the what's going on, Gab? Sticking to the book, like how hard was that to do? Because I know Uncle George's the daughter, Hippolyta's daughter, that she's supposed to be, supposed to be a boy. And you can kind of feel that with the way that she carries herself, portrays herself, like the little even though
Mhm.
she's a little girl, you can kind of feel that.
Right.
You
But
know,
I
little,
mean, I think when they go off, you know what I'm saying, the source material, it's like you really messing stuff up to the point, and it reminds me of Black Panther because I've been a Black Panther fan since 1988.
mm,
Like, if you stuck close, and let's be honest, like if you look at the sales, especially during Christopher Priest run, like it didn't really sell. It sold, but it didn't sell all that well. You know what I'm saying? So you could have stuck to the storyline, and instead of unfortunately, with Chadwick Boseman passing, if he wouldn't have passed and he didn't have, the colon cancer,
Right.
you could do at least 7 to 8 Black Panthers movies.
Yeah, you could do a lot of different things. But the problem that people would have, even if people had issues with it being within that universe, you could still, you could still do it, and it would be acceptable. People would still be like, okay, this is something we can go with because it had such a good run in the beginning. This the first time they put this out at this magnitude. You see how far it went and how much money it made and how much popularity and everything and support that they had. Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Because when you look at the character, like now they're calling for Shuri to be the Black Panther.
Oh
Like
gosh.
she was a warrior princess in the comics. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when you look at how she was in the movie and you look at what happened between Civil War and Black Panther, all of that happened like within a week. It's just a week apart. So
Mm,
how is she gonna be a 16-year-old girl and she did all the technological advances and she had time to train in every martial arts form on earth and plus the hidden ones and then be trained by her brother. Like there's not that much time in a day, you know what I'm
mm,
saying? And you saw how she fought in the movie. She can't fight that well, you know what I'm
no,
saying? But if
it's
they stuck,
technology.
right, and if they would have stuck to it, then it's like, hey, the women, y'all really would have been satisfied. You know what I'm saying? Even even the black feminists would have been satisfied. But then it would have really like did more of a like an empowerment thing to black boys, girls, men and women. But how they did it, like, yeah, they made it weak when they go in and start changing shit all the time. That's stupid.
Hmm. Yeah, they changing stuff all the time, and then I hear about how, and like the fact that you tell me that, I'm like, what is she gonna do? Like, really? Ugh. Like as the last, you know, as the last story goes, with many women, I think it was what was it? Was it Marvel? What was it where a woman is messing it up? What is it, Marvel or is it something else? Disney?
Oh yeah, that was Disney because that was Star Wars,
Yeah,
Kathleen
I was
Kennedy.
like, what is going on here? Because they work together anyway. And
Mhm,
I'm looking at I was because whatever, in my opinion, like a lot of things that affect Disney affect a lot of other industries.
mhm,
And they have so many writers and animators there, and they gonna cross over. I mean, Disney, that's ESPN, that's a bunch of stuff, right?
mhm,
Um, so you have that crossover and that influence, and that's the big issue I have is the major influence that's there, because you have children that are watching this and they're looking like, what is this? In my opinion, if you can't make a show like this just straight from the book, and what faith do we have of you to make a show that's completely, you know, new fiction that's not based on a book? I don't have, it's not, I'm not gonna blame it all on Jordan Peele because I think the lady that Dr. Tia Johnson kept mentioning was Misha Green. Her name is coming up first like all the time.
mhm,
Of like every episode. And I'm like, lady, are you a feminist? If so, go ahead and say that so we can like ignore you. Because if this is your first, pilot type of series you're putting out, and I have to look it up for myself to see if that's the case. But if this is your first pilot series, then I'm not going to get nothing else from you. I'm just not going to support you like that. Anything you're on, she's going to end up blackball herself if she keeps doing stuff like that. If she's the one who is writing a lot of these things in and just changing the original, and she's changing the original storyline, but it's a testament to how the society is shifting.
mhm,
It's a testament to how the society is shifting and how you have the man who's like flip-flopping through the whole series. In my opinion, he's like flip-flopping. One, he's extreme. Like I said earlier, he's one extreme. He's real strong. He's portrayed as strong. He's sitting there with the glasses on. The bus broke down, but he's sitting there reading. Intellectual. Quiet and very disciplined. And then when the time comes when it's like stress is high, he like, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do. Oh, like he's a little Southern belle. He gonna put his hand on his head, his forehead. Oh, I feel faint. Like, "Oh, help me. Red Butler, help me." Like he startled a hair or something. He like, "Oh, I don't know what to do." And, it's expected that he would step up to the plate, but he didn't. And it happened so many times that Letty steps to the plate that by the third episode, I'm expecting him to sit down. You know,
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, he ain't gonna do nothing. Letty, what you about to do? I'm about to jump in this water and swim. I'm about to go save the day again. And it's like, what is this? And that's why we were looking at each other like, man, this is some BS. Like we thought it was gonna be, like I said earlier, surprise around the corner. Here's the real tick. He had some kind of illness and now he's okay. They didn't do nothing. Yeah, it has an agenda. And Shonda was saying, she said she has a producer or executive director on TV series. Oh, Underground. Okay, I have to check that out. See what that's about.
Underground was good.
Okay.
Uh, with Underground, that took place like back in slavery, but it
Yeah.
was have you seen the Brian Banks story?
No, I haven't seen that. Mm-mm.
Okay. Okay, what about the
I know what
movie with
the Brian Bake story, was about. I just haven't seen the production on television. I have heard of. Oh, wait, Underground. I have heard of that. I have heard of that. Yes, that was a long going series on TV.
right. Now
And
that character was a strong black male like character. You had and I'm trying to like get you to see who the actor was. He was the guy that was in the movie with Taraji P. Henson and she could read dudes' minds. Did you see that?
what men want?
Right. He was the
Yeah,
black guy
yeah.
that had right, that guy.
Mhm.
He was like the lead in that. And he was trying to escape slavery. He did. And he would go back. He was going back to get Smollett's sister, her mom, her brother, and all of that. But then you had a
Okay.
light skinned dude named Cato that he was the Sambo. But then you had good light skinned people, you had bad black skinned people, but it was it was a lot more substance and it wasn't really that not that I could see that it was bad. It's just, when they
Oh,
dropped it.
yeah, hold on. I did see this. Okay, yeah, she was in the show. Okay, I think I saw like 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I have to go back and watch it then. Yes. Okay, yeah. She played in this with, Aldous Hodge. Yeah, Aldous Hodge is a good actor.
Hmm.
I like his work. Yeah. Okay. I have to yeah, I think I saw just 2 episodes, and yeah, Kenya put it in there. I went to another screen, so I was looking at that. Yeah, Aldous Hodge, the same girl was in the lead in that show too. Yes, that you know what? Mm-mm. They gonna need to do better than this because this show right here, everybody from what everybody's saying, and I didn't hear what I have to go back and listen to the whole thing because I was trying to skip through when Dr. Johnson was talking about some of the scenes, I think in episode 5 or whatever. I was like, skipping through it. I was like, no, no. I wanted to see it first and then hear, his commentary on that. And I was like, man, and then everybody was like, man, wait till you get to wait till you get to episode 5. Episode 5. My friend was like, girl, episode 5 is not the business. I was like, shut up. Like, don't
Nope.
tell me. Like, I was like, man, come on.
I had to
'Cause,
fast
like,
forward it.
I was it was like going up on an incline and now I'm coming down the roller coaster. And it's terrifying me. Like, ugh. Mm-mm.
I think that's the episode I had to fast forward.
Oh wow. That's not good. Mm-mm-mm. That is not good. And if there are people saying that, they need to work on just sticking to a program that makes sense. Because it's a lot of propaganda.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying, Dina. That's what I heard from that show. What you were just talking about, she's talking about Underground. She said, because I was just reading something real quick. It says that it was canceled and there's no real closure. Like the show just canceled.
Right.
Um, they're like, hey, we don't have no money. Like, that's it. Bye. Like, what? How you just go? And that show had apparently had really good ratings, very good views. The feedback was good, and people wanted more of that show, and they were like, "Nah, we're gonna take that." I noticed they do that a lot now with this show. they're trying to reach a certain audience, it'll get, it might get mixed feedback, but they'll keep it on,
Yeah.
knowing that it's not it's not targeting a certain demographic that it needs to target. I asked Jason, I asked my sister when she watched some of the episodes, I said, what did you feel after you watched episode 2, episode 3? And she was like, I don't know. Like, it's just, this is weird. That should not be a person's response when you ask them, what you felt about this episode. And they're like, I don't know. Like, it was kind of out there. They could be like, "Oh, it was great. It was like 8 out of 10. I loved it. This is, they could fix this. They could have fixed that. I ain't like this right here. But, overall, it was good." Like, for me, that's why I gave it 8 out of 10 when it comes to like the production. Like, I'm a person who likes images. I can remember a lot of images and stuff.
Right.
And the special effect, I love special effects and stuff like that. And fighting and all that. That's cool, the martial arts of it. But I just didn't like the person that was doing a lot of the fighting and a lot of the protecting and all that. It's just kind of weird. And on the other side, like, I gave it 5 out of 10, just for these themes and symbols that keep coming back. I'm like, nah.
You talking about with Lovecraft Country?
Yes.
Now the thing with that is Tick when Tick had to fight, you know what I'm saying, and Letty was there, it's like it just threw her off. You know what I'm saying? So, and I believe this is what Dr. Johnson was talking about, that when she would be around him and he would like either get passionate or he would get frustrated, then she would reach for something to, like, as if she's going to protect herself from him. And that would take
Mm,
him aback. But his motivations and everything is, we need to get these pages, and because it's his birthright, then he wants to do something that could protect black people. But then it's like that's his focus. But then he also is on his hero's journey because he has to deal with, his growth. He also has to deal with things of his past and as well as his father. And her, it's like, well, whatever, it ain't that serious. Let me do it and all of that shit. But it's like,
yeah.
ugh, it's to me, it's just stupid. It really is.
Yeah, because like, and that's you making a good point, because this it's like it was somewhat like well, it seems like what you're saying is like she just didn't care. Like, she was just like, whatever.
Right. And actually, she's kind of like in the show, she's like the black. I'm really trying not to spoil it, but she's really like the black sheep.
Yeah.
Because, in every family, you got that one child that is dependable, and then the other child that, they might be like, hey, I need some money for something. And then it's like,
Mm,
all right, they family, so they kick the money out that way. And it's like, that's how her and Ruby are. But Ruby wants to be in in the show, she wants to be like in the white circle. Like, I want to be the first black female to do this and this. And then with the stiletto one, I got it. I understood it, but it's still that feminist shit. And I'm like, this doesn't even have to really like be, because it don't have nothing to do with the story. Especially the last episode, you had two people that go through the portal, but you only see what happened to one, and it ain't the person that you need to see.
mm.
But even when it comes to the book, it didn't happen that way. But
Wow.
it's more of a payoff if you stuck to how things were before, like the source material, because it just doesn't make no sense.
Yeah. And it really doesn't make sense how it's done, because it's not like they were cheap on effects and cheap on production. They just chose, you can tell like something that's cheap. Okay, they didn't have time to do this and that. But they at least have the sense and the respect for the source material to put certain scenes in that cheap production. Like, I'd rather you have a cheap production and it goes right to the book, and I'm seeing it, in their interpretation of what the characters look like and all that kind of stuff. And I'm seeing it in front of me and I'm like, oh yeah, I can go to page 25, page 37, and I can see like, oh yeah, that happened, maybe a little twist and turn here and there, but they changing there. It seems like from what you're saying and what I've heard other people say is the same thing. Like they're changing the storyline, like they're fitting it in, like Dina was saying, they fitting it into an agenda that just does not work. Like it's not like it doesn't work to the book. It doesn't work at all. Like
Right.
it doesn't make sense. And that's my only thing. Like I had questions about, I was like, does this even make sense to people? Because I know that people have talked about this a lot on different channels. And it was like a lot of people were asking, does it even make sense to you? And some people were like, this is crazy. They were like, I don't get this. Like the switching back and forth. And for instance, when they are in the home that's haunted, Tick doesn't really help her to expel the demon that's in the house. You know, um, she gets arrested. She's in that paddy wagon by herself. He's not. I understand that time. I guess they arrested people, men and women separately, and all that.
Right.
So she goes in the paddy wagon with a man, with a white male officer, and he's telling her in between his racism, he's telling her about the history of this house and all this stuff. Well, yeah, he's probably a co-conspirator, and come to find out he is, right?
Right.
And then she comes back. She's trying to explain it to him. They make her look crazy trying to explain it, trying to explain what's going on to him. He's sitting there looking like, oh yeah, like he got something else to do. Ain't nothing else going on. What you looking down at? When they in the diner, you looking down. What you looking down for? You ain't nothing. There ain't nothing else going on in your life. You ain't got nowhere to live. You ain't got no job. You ain't got no car. Like, come on. That's in my mind. And we literally sitting there like, what he looking down for? He ain't got no business. Like that's what we were saying. You ain't got no business. What you looking down for? And so she said that was my first time. And he was just like, oh yeah, yeah. First time for what? Like, that type of thing. And he was like, oh, my bad. Then he jumped back into being human. What? Weren't you sitting there chilling, looking down? Now
Mm.
you concerned all of a sudden, and it made it seem like he was just like so detached from the whole situation that's going on. Like he's so in his mind, but he ain't doing nothing. then they made it seem like it just like seemed like he was just useless the whole time. He gets possessed. He can't even get the demon out of him. The demon making his shape shift, and then the demon is revealed to her, and she has to do all this work by herself. They put all that weight on her, and at the end of the day, he probably don't even remember what happened because he was under a spell, right? Under demonic possession, and he don't even remember. I was like, what? And then the next so in the next episode, I guess she is in a way the way they're writing it, um, helping him again to find himself and find these pages and everything. I was like, they really pumping her up. She ain't no superwoman. Like they pumping her up. When is he going to do anything? Like that's what my thing was.
I don't know, but if my opinion is she's going to end up stealing it all from him so
Mhm.
that when he dies,
Mhm.
then she'll take the ball and run because
Mhm.
the last episode, like Sunday's episode, I was just pissed because I'm like this really it really don't make no sense. I mean, it makes sense when you see it, but it's just that okay, everything that's going on is his birthright. He is in a race.
Right.
So he's in a race, you know what I'm saying, to get the pages before the white chick. She has more resources, she has more money, she has access to more people, more connections. And who does he have? He has his father that is sabotaging him. Then he has Letty, which he has pretty much like a battle, a fight for dominance. But then they have this romantic, I guess, romantic relationship. And
Mm.
then you got the other component, which I'm not gonna say nothing about. It's just it's so hard having this conversation and not saying what I know, and it's just like,
Yeah, I mean, I feel you. When you said that, what would you say? Free throws? Oh man, Shonda said she gonna use that. I'm gonna use that too because I be using Brooklist.
no, I mean, it's I
Yeah.
use that because being a stand-up comic, like they even try to censor what we say. You know, if you say something
Really?
that certain people don't like, then you can't perform at this venue. So you have to do it in a funny way. But when people get it, especially if you show it, then it's like, I get it. But then you can't really complain about it. You know, it's not like you calling somebody a fruit booty or something explicit like that. So,
Mhm.
but mm,
Yeah, you can't be like Corey Holcomb out here. You got to keep it clean. I know Corey. He'll say, he'll just say the word. I'm like, oh gosh, come on, Corey, you going too far.
yeah, but that limits how you can move. It limits the venues and the places and avenues you can go. You could do that, but you have to understand that you can't be here. You know,
Right.
you only operate in this
Yeah, I
space.
understand that definitely. I live in LA and I've lived in Atlanta, and I trust me, I get that. I used to go to Uptown Comedy Corner, and man, they were like, "Nah, you got to come off the stage." I'm like, "What did he do?" And then they say, "Oh, he said so and so." I'm like, okay, you know." But he's saying in, all before that, and then he said this one thing, and they were like, "Yeah, you can't be handling stuff like that." I'm like, "Okay, Rainbow Patrol."
Yep.
But it is what it is. Like this show, I have to get. He is Dina. He really is, and I'm like, oh Lord, boy, you need to rein that in a little. This show, I'm gonna have to do another stream on this. I really enjoy, talking to you and everybody in the chat.
Oh,
Um,
thanks for having me.
no, no problem. It's no problem. I'm about to turn it in. I just wanted to come in here and just give a few thoughts about what I thought about this show, and hopefully, like, I'm glad that y'all actually told me about episode 5. Now I'm gonna watch it with extra precaution now.
Well, I'll tell you this. After the ass whipping,
Mhm.
be just after the ass whipping, be careful. Like if your man is there, like and he don't like seeing that type of stuff, just wait for the ass whipping. That's
Mm.
all. That's all you got to know for that episode. Hold the
Mhm.
remote when that ass whipping hit.
Mhm. Well, if you got anything you want to promote, anything like your channel or anything you're doing, you let people know what's going on with you.
Oh no, I'm good. I come here to this space to support y'all. Normally I'm on Periscope and I do similar things like y'all do, but I'm just getting things together for me to do skits. If you want to check me out, know what I'm about, you can go to www.micahonline.com. But really, I'm just here to support y'all because I love what y'all doing, and I support y'all 1,050%. So keep doing what you do.
Okay, I'll put it in the chat. I put micahonline.com. Thank you so much, y'all. Thank you for coming and chat. Thank you for coming up here, hitting that link. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. And I think hold on. Yeah, I got a cash
Good
app
night.
right here. Oh, good night. Hold on. I'm about to read this cash app real quick. Let's see. Good night to you, Micah. Hold on. I want to get the name right. Oh, King Wage. Thank you, King Wage, for the cash app. I appreciate that. But I'm gonna holler at y'all later. Y'all have a good evening. Tomorrow evening, I might do a part 2 to this. If y'all got any thoughts, and by that time, hopefully I would have watched um episode 5. I'm gonna try to watch it now. I'm interested. Y'all got me interested in watching it. But I'll holler at y'all later. Have a good night. Peace.